News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager. Luigi Mangione will plead guilty to resolve federal charges related to the killing of UnitedHealthCare CEO Brian Thompson. The 28-year-old's lawyer made that announcement in New York federal court today, where he faces 2 counts of stalking in connection with Thompson's death in December of 2024. Bloomberg's Tony Ahrens reports Mangione will describe what happened that day before the judge rules on the plea.
After that, it spins ahead to the state trial, which was scheduled to take place September 8th. Now, the whole point of a guilty plea in the federal case is to try and stop that trial, to say that the legal doctrine of double jeopardy, where you can't be tried for the same crime twice, takes precedent, and the state trial should be dismissed.
Bloomberg's Tony Ahrens reports prosecutors are expected to seek life in prison for Mangione on the federal charges. The Trump administration plans to announce unprecedented economic measures against Iran as the standoff over the Strait of Hormuz continues. In an interview with Newsmax, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said, quote, "Watch this space for details next week."
It will be a combination of economic isolation like the world has never seen before, and the continued blockade in the Strait of Hormuz.
And we get more from Bloomberg's Stuart Livingston-Wallace in Dubai.
It's clear that the intention here is to squeeze Iran even further. But again, even on that point, it has to be acknowledged that Iran's economy is in pretty dire straits as it is. You know, you've basically got hyperinflation. You've got rolling blackouts across the country because they can't maintain the grid. Again, very difficult to get trade in or out. But we also know that Iran has had a lot of practice and is quite skilled at evading sanctions. But it'll be interesting to see what comes next week for sure.
You can hear more of my conversation with Bloomberg's head of Middle East coverage, Stuart Livingston-Wallace, on the Bloomberg Daybreak U.S. Edition podcast. President Trump is asking the Supreme Court to let him keep building his massive White House ballroom. That's after 2 lower courts found the president should have gotten congressional approval first. An appeals court ruling blocking the construction will take effect 1 week from today, unless the high court intervenes. The president's request puts the justices in the middle of his ongoing efforts to remake the nation's capital. President Trump is also pushing for a 250-foot arch and to keep his name on the Kennedy Center. U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro says an arrest has been made in an act of vandalism at the World War II Memorial on the National Mall. Melissa Ferris is facing 2 federal charges over red graffiti on the landmark and bubbles in one of its fountains. President Trump called whoever was behind yesterday's damage, quote, animals, in a social media post this morning. Hawaii is getting ready for a rare hurricane strike as Tropical Storm Lala takes aim at the Big Island. The National Hurricane Center says the storm could reach Category 1 hurricane status when it grazes the island of Hawaii tomorrow. It would be the first hurricane anywhere in the state since Iniki in 1992. On Wall Street, stocks are wavering with signs the consumer is showing signs of slowing down. The latest University of Michigan Sentiment Index fell for the first time in 3 months on rising inflation and tougher business conditions. Joanne Shu is Michigan's Director of Consumer Surveys.
Consumers have been loud and clear that the number one thing that they've been concerned about for the last few years now has been purchasing power. And that's something that hasn't really improved much at all.
Joanne Shu with the University of Michigan. We also saw retail sales drop the most in more than a year in July, down 0.6%. Amazon Prime Day happened in June rather than last month, and the boost from tax cuts faded as well. Stocks are fading. The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average are both down 0.2% right now. The NASDAQ Composite's lower by 0.4%. The 10-year Treasury yield is up about 3 basis points to 4.67%. The 2-year is little changed at 4.14%. And Brent crude is up about 0.2%, trading close to $88 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate is higher as well at around $81.50. OpenAI keeps making money. The ChatGPT maker is on track for $400 billion in annual revenue. That's about twice the run rate from last year. Matthew Bloxham covers tech for Bloomberg Intelligence.
It's good news that they're kind of doubling their revenues at such a rapid rate. It's very similar to what's happening at Anthropic, obviously, who's their big IPO rival. You know, both of these companies expected to go public sometime, perhaps the second half of this year into 2027. I think in recent months, OpenAI has been seen as lagging a little bit behind Anthropic, and the reason is because of the enterprise focus.
Matt Bloxham of Bloomberg Intelligence. Not to be outdone, SpaceX just wrapped up its $60 billion acquisition of AI coding startup Cursor. That company is a big part of Elon Musk's catch-up plan with OpenAI and Anthropic. SpaceX shares, though, are moving lower along with the rest of the market. They're down about 3%. And Tesla's lower now as well, down 1%. The Information is reporting Elon Musk's EV maker plans to unveil a new roadster with flying capabilities. The report says the test will happen later this month at the SpaceX site in Texas, though Musk reportedly told staffers the demo could be difficult to pull off, but he says it'll be entertaining nonetheless. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager. This is Bloomberg.